I'm wheeling down the street. I was like, yo, Sid.
I heard that southern accent. I said, "Web, hold on, that's me. Why am I hearing this voice?" I turned around and sure enough, he's right behind me. So happy to see you.
I found the motherfucker. I tracked him down, Nicole.
Yeah, you sure did, man.
Hello, folks. My name is Mick, and this is SHU Outdoors. And the reason why I played that clip in the beginning, you know, it's easy to walk by somebody on the streets who's done fell on hard times and say, oh, that person is this or that. But let me tell you, that guy you're looking at right there, that guy's one of the most realist renegades that you probably ever saw on film. I could tell you countless stories about me and that guy running the streets together on the Lower East Side back in the day of New York City. And he came back for me 2 times, right? So, you know, I just figured I'd kick it with you a little bit today and share a little bit of story time and, you know, kill a little time together. One time we were at a big punk rock show, and a lot of people I used to run with back in the day were there also. Spike Polite and the band Sewage. They were there. It was on 13th Street. Now, on 13th Street on the Lower East Side now, you walk through and it looks pretty nice. But back in the day, it used to be a whole bunch of squats and abandoned buildings, and some of the buildings were lived in, a lot of dope spots, all kind of shit was over there, right? And there was a squat on the north side of the street in between Avenue A and Avenue B, and they used to have punk rock shows there in the basement, right? And all my homies and stuff were downstairs in the basement, and they were jamming. I think the Casualties was playing that night, another famous punk rock band, Sewage, and a couple of other cool bands, right? And the story's kind of wild, right? But anyway, I was downstairs, right? And I was hanging out. The band was playing. It was this cool scene, right? And they had kegs upstairs, right? So if you wanted beer, you had to go upstairs and get it. And I had the keg, and I had like a half a gallon milk jug, right? So I've been drinking beer all night, right? And I had been hanging out with one of my other friends over in downtown Brooklyn right before the show started, right? So he gave me a hit of ecstasy, right? So now I'm tripping in this punk rock show, and I'm having a great time doing it, right? And actually tripping saved my ass that night, because what happened was I went upstairs, and they were these LA punk rockers there, okay? And back in the day, today's New York City is a different type of city than it was 20 years ago or 25 or 30 years ago. I got to New York City, I'm going to say in 89, 1990, and I lived there for like decades. I mean, I've been in Florida down here now for about 4 years. You know, this has been my residence down here. Now, I got grown kids up that way. I got homies that, like, you know, I go back decades with. So New York City is my adopted hometown. I know a lot of you guys may say, oh, is that true or not? He talks with a southern accent, but it is true, man. I talk the way I talk. I was born and raised in South Carolina. I didn't leave there until I was like 18, 19 years old. Started traveling around. I landed in New York City, and it just worked out, you know. And so that's where I landed, and I stayed for decades. It was a one time, so I went upstairs to get the beer, right? And there was a couple of punk rock chicks and 2 or 3 punk rock dudes, and they were from LA. So of course, man, you know, I'm an offensive person, right? Even on my best behavior. And back then I used to go out of my way to be offensive, because in my era of being a punk rocker, the whole idea was just to offend everybody equally. We didn't care, you know what I mean? We weren't politically correct at all, that's for sure, right? And I had got a t-shirt from a homie over in Brooklyn, right? And on the front it said Adolf Hitler's World Tour, right? Like a concert tee. And then on the back it had like UK and United States and Russia council, like all the, like a concert tea, all the countries he invaded, and then the countries he wasn't able to invade. Okay, so it just looked like a concert tea. It was white. And just so you know, man, I'm not no fucking Nazi, man. I hate fucking Nazis, but I'm a fucking counterculture offensive motherfucker, right? I know that seems kind of odds, but it just is what it is, man. So this chick comes over to me, right? And she's like, "What are you, a blanky blank Nazi?" And of course I said, "F-U-B, suck my D," all right? So I see her walking back over to her homies, but I ain't tripping. I got all my homies downstairs. Okay, this is when you're going to know if you really cut like that. So I got all my homies downstairs, right? And so I was like, I don't care about these people. Listen, we can rock and roll in here, outside, or wherever, man. And mind you, I'm tripping, so my senses are extremely elevated, all right? Now, mind you, I didn't go over there and say nothing to her. She came over to me and made a statement, and I responded in kind, right? So I see her going over there to her homies, right? And about that time, security says the show's over. The show is over downstairs, right? 'Cause I knew that was the last band that was playing. I was going to come up there and get some beer, go back downstairs, hang out with my homies, help them break the equipment down, and then ride out. You know what I mean? So security says the show's over, so they go on out. So I know they're out there waiting for me, and all my homies is downstairs, and security don't want to let me go back downstairs, right? So I said, okay, fuck it, right? So as I go out, like the ground floor, you walk up the stoop, and then you go into like the ground floor, and it was like almost like a, not really a clubhouse, that wouldn't be the right word, but like a communal living area. It was more open, and there were tables in. So as I was going out the door, right, I saw a big Bass L bottle, one of them old school thick ones. So I grabbed it, and as soon as I go out the door, I see them, and they got their bondage belts off and their chains and shit off. So I know they're going to try to work me. So as soon as I go out the door, I see one of them. I just bust him over the head with the beer bottle. And I shit you not, I see a rain of like bondage belts and chains coming towards me, right? But I'm tripping, so I just duck right out from under it. It hits the ground, bam, bam, bam. Then we square up, and there's 4 of them, and there's 1 of me. Swear to God, we fought for 5 minutes. Everybody's still downstairs, man. Nobody even knows what's going on. We're outside rocking and rolling, man. They didn't get one. They didn't touch me one time. Now this is what happens. Every time they would swing one of the bondage belts, I'd try to grab it, but I couldn't really grab it because another one was coming in, and then another one. So I was bobbing and weaving trying to grab bondage belts, right? We were rocking and rolling, man. They were trying to fuck me off, right? But they couldn't quite get the job done. In fact, they couldn't even touch me, right? So at the end, I finally grabbed one of their chains because they weren't tripping, and I was. So I had this, like extra human sensories and endurance and shit, right? So I grabbed one of the chains. Now I got one of the chains, and now it's time I'm going to start fucking you up, man, right? So one of their girls, I still got a scar right here. One of their girls, right? The bitch flanks me, all right? She comes around, because we've been fighting for like 5 minutes now. I got fucking tired. I'm fighting 4 dudes with bondage belts and shit, right? Chains and shit, and they're trying to fuck me off. One of their girls, right? She comes around and flanks me, man, and this is a true story. She's got a chain with a lock on it. She swings and hits me right here. This is the only blow I got on the whole fight, right? So now I'm leaking, right? It looks a lot worse. One blow, right? So I'm like, oh, I want to go after her, right? But I can't because her boyfriends are right there. So we're still fighting. My dude, kids see it. I shit you not. That guy was in the beginning of the clip. He comes around the corner off of Avenue A. He sees me outside fighting. He picks up beer bottles and starts throwing it at him, right? Now, this is still when he's in his prime, well before he ended up in a wheelchair. He fought him off of me, right? And so now they give up. They're like, okay, fuck this guy. And I'm too tired to keep fighting. So I got a crash pad over on Night Street and Avenue B between B and C at the time. So I'm not literally a couple blocks away from the house, where I'm crashing. And so I start walking that way, right? And I shit you not, man, there's this big black dude, right? And I still got a t-shirt on with a big fucking SWAT sticker in it, right? I shit you not, man. Nobody else wanted no action, man, but I mean, I was tired, right? But me and Sid start walking towards Avenue B, right? And this big black dude, this dude looked like a fucking predator, man, with long ass dreadlocks, a handful of rings, all that shit. He picks me up, man. This dude's like 6'8", 6'9", man, like 350 pounds of fucking muscle, right? He picks me up, slams me on a fucking car hood, right, as I'm trying to walk by, right? He's the only one other than that fight that even put their hands on me. He's got me on the car hood. He's fucking raised back like this. He's like, "Are you a Nazi, motherfucker? Are you a Nazi?" And I don't even know what to say, man. I mean, I'm so fucking tired, and this motherfucker's got me. I don't even say nothing. I'm just looking up at the fucking handful of rings. He's got me. If he wants to fuck me up, he could definitely fuck me up, and I'd be hit. He's got those old school fucking rings with the spikes and shit on them, so I already know I'm probably going to get fucked up. But it is what it is. It's part of that lifestyle, right? My dude Slug, which I haven't seen Slug in years, but he was very influential in the punk rock scene. And if you was around in the 90s and the early 2000s, you would know who Slug is if you was in the New York City punk rock scene or the Connecticut or wherever. You will know who I'm talking about. He comes out of the party, just happens to step out, and he looks over and see what happened. He was like, no. He called the dude's name, called the guy's name. He's like, "He's with me, man, he's with me." I shit you not. The dude said, "Oh, you know Slug?" I said, yeah, right? He picks me up, dusts me off, and I fucking leave, right? I go and fucking crash, right? And wake up the next morning and doctor my wounds and shit. I meant to keep that t-shirt, but I've been to jail and all kind of shit. I don't know where it's at. Probably been in a dump, a biohazard dump field for fucking the last 20 years, rotted down to nothing now. But it would have been a cool t-shirt to keep. A real battle there, right? And Sid had a very instrumental role in saving my ass that night. And another time, it's like December, January, man. It's just brick-ass cold in New York City, right? And it's about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're on a mission, man. So we come out of Lower East Side, and we walk down Waverly Place. That's going towards the west. It goes to 6th Avenue, which is also called the Avenue of the Americans, right? And there used to be something called Store 24. I don't know if it's still around, but it used to be right there on the other side of 6th Avenue. We were on a mission, man. So anyway, we go and do whatever we do, and some black African dudes, as a matter of fact, right? We were boosting and shit. We were shoplifting. We were trying to get something to go sell it so we could go get some drugs. Like, literally, this had to be 20-something years ago if it was a day. But I'm telling you the true story, right? And it's snowing. There's snow on the ground. There's ice on the ground. But we were going hard, and we were renegades, and we just didn't give a fuck, right? We're on a mission, and we ain't stopping until we get something to go over here to one of these little bodegas and sell and get us fucking 20 or 30 bucks so we can go do the shit we like to do, right? We're going to go back to the squat and shit and just chill, So as we're leaving, they're following us and they're yelling for us, and he's in front of me, which is fine. He makes it, man. He gets away. But as I'm going through the threshold, I slip on a patch of ice and I go down, and the African dudes are on me, man. They're fucking me up. He's across the street. He's gone. He's across 6th Avenue. I'm on the west side of the street. He's on the east side of the street. He could definitely get away and keep moving, and he's got a whole backpack of stuff. So he's got everything he needs, and this is how much of a bro this guy is, man. He turned around, came back, fought them dudes off of me, and we both got away, man. And I could go on and on with countless stories, but those are just two that stick out to me, man. And that's why I made it my business the last time I was in New York to go down there on the streets and track his ass down. Because I never forget where I come from. Where I come from ain't where I'm at or where I'm going, but it's where I come from. And I never forget my homies that are still in that world. Yeah, we may not hang out every day because we're going in different directions and doing different things. But if I fuck with you, I fuck with you, man. And I'm not one of those guys that act like I'm too fucking good because I'm doing pretty good. I wouldn't say really well, but I'm definitely a lot better off than I once was in my life. And I'm definitely making continual, steady progress. I got an SUV, and I got a motorcycle, and my wife's got a car, and I own my home. So, I mean, I'm still in the struggle, you know, but we're definitely making steady progress, you know. And another topic, you know, that a lot of people may feel is a touchy subject, but I don't feel it's a touchy subject. I'm just going to keep it real with you, man. I love riding motorcycles. I really got into hardcore riding in New York City. Now that's real hardcore riding, man. If you can't ride, you don't even you want to trailer your bike all the way through New York City. All right, it's real hardcore riding. And I learned to ride. I mean, I grew up riding motorbikes, you know, dirt bikes, mini bikes, mopeds, go-karts, all that shit in rural South Carolina, where I'm originally from, you know. And so I was always into that, feeling like you're flying, you know, because that's what being on a motorcycle is, the closest thing you can get to flying, but still being on the ground, you know. Best way to describe it, ultimate freedom. But I got into motorcycle riding in New York City, and back then I would just get rice burners. I mean, like, all of my bikes have been rice burners up to my current bike, which is a Kawasaki Vulcan Nomad 1600. Got plenty of power. I mean, it's still considered a big, slow bike, but for a big, slow bike, it's got plenty of power. And it's got the bags, the windshield. It's wintertime down here right now. It's not really cold compared to Northeast standards, but it's a little nippy. Come springtime, I'll probably strip all that down, take that off and store it, and then put it back on in the wintertime. But I digress. Before we go any further, let's don't forget the men and the women that are locked down in cold, dark, lonely places who cannot do this for themselves, but I can do it for them, and I am going to do it for them. You're down, but you're not forgotten. You're down, but you're not forgotten because I say so. You know, and man, I was probably one of the most hardcore bikers that you could think of. Now, I was never the Power Ranger guy. I was always the greasy guy like you see now, but with grease all over my jeans and shit from working on my bike right out on the streets, you know. Rode up. Probably one of the most badass motorcycles I've ever owned was a CBR 750, the 1998. It's a fire-breathing dragon. I've had metal militias. I've had, you know, the dirt bikes with those street legal turn signals on them. I've had all kind of motorcycles, but that was probably one of the most badass motorcycles I've ever had. It ended up getting stolen in New York City. It's just part of the game, you know. But it was a badass bike, you know, and yeah, I definitely miss it. I got this cruiser because I'm married now, and you know, my wife likes to ride too. You know, I'm trying to convince her to get a little Sportster or something like that. You know, something she can handle, and she can just ride with me. You know, I don't mind the riding bitch. She's my lady, you know, and my wife. But it'd be cool for her to get her own bike just so she could have that control. You know, I'm about freedom and empowering people. You know, and trying to help people be as free, not only physically as they can, but also as mentally as they can, you know. You know, let's talk about why I would probably never join a modern day MC club. Because from my perspective, if you got more than one page of bylaws, you're putting the wrong kind of people in your club, man, and your charter. Because a real G don't need no whole bunch of instructions to know how to walk. Yeah, we need a code of conduct. You need a code of conduct, and not just a code of conduct, but a few basic pointers of like, this is what's expected of you if you're going to join this club. But if you're attracting the right kind of people into an outlaw motorcycle club, and I use the word outlaw liberally, let's just say a renegade motorcycle club, if you're attracting the right kind of people, man, you don't need a whole bunch of rules and regulations to keep those people in line. Just the basics. Because I don't want nobody around me who ain't from the same world as I'm from. You could look like me. You could get some tattoos. You could grow a long goatee. You know, you get a couple of rings, put a cool t-shirt on. But you're not from where I'm from, and you haven't walked the path that I've walked. You're playing pretend in a world that you're not from. And sooner or later, things are going to go bad. And, you know, everybody's a real A1 gangster when they're around their homies. And, you know, they're free and they're riding their motorcycles, all right? But when them fucking FBI get your ass in that hot seat, and I've dealt with the major case squad in New York City, and I've also dealt with the New York City field office. I did 10 years in the feds. And, you know, everybody's tough until it fucking goes bad. And motherfuckers start folding like a cheap suit. But the only way they can do that is because you let people in your club for numbers. And I do understand that aspect. But from my perspective, I'd rather have 4 or 5 real G's with me. Real G's. Not make-believe G's. I'd rather have 4 or 5 real G's with me that are responsible men who know how to keep it between the lines. And all we need is a few basic bylaws that everybody agrees on and we all live by, and we each hold everyone to the same standards. Because even a real G could potentially lose his way occasionally. And that's what the bylaws are there for. If you want to have 15 pages of bylaws, man, why don't you just join a 99% club or a riding club? You got so many rules and regulations, so not only do you have to live by society's rules and regulations, whether if you like it or not, okay, you can't ride a motorcycle that don't have a tag and a registration on it unless you want to get pulled the fuck over and go to jail. You can't drive a car without a license and insurance on it unless you want to get pulled over and go to fucking jail. You can't go around just shooting and stabbing people for no reason. So even if you have an outlaw state of mind, but you walk in that line, all right, you still have to comply to certain laws and rules and regulations, whether if you like it or not, unless you want to end up in state prison. You know, and that's just the reality of the situation. I like riding my motorcycles, homie. There ain't no motorcycles in fucking state or federal prison. And that you can't smoke weed legally in state or fucking federal prison. I can't make love to my wife in state or federal prison. I can't hold my little cats and dogs. I'm a sucker for cats and dogs. Come here and get this shot, Clayton Bigsby. Oh, he's just a good little boy. You know. So, just because you're in an outlaw state of mind, man, that don't mean that you can't be a cool person. I think all this is like a lot of misnomers that the media, lamestream media, pushes, and all of a sudden they become a stone cold truth, and people who are walking in that life, who's not from that life, starts emulating the behavior that lamestream media tries to tell them they should be emulating. I'm a hell of a nice guy. If you're my friend and I fuck with you, man, I would literally give you the shirt off my back if I fuck with you like that. I'm not going to do that for everybody. It ain't even close to that. But if I fuck with you like that, there's really not too much that I wouldn't do to help you. All right? You know, I'm a very respectful person. I say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am to old ladies. Yeah, I'm a sucker for a stray. I got 5 cats and a little dog. And my wife's not allowed to look at no animals. It doesn't, no, don't even do it, but we got no room for them. Okay, I went along with it. You know, I love all these fuckers too, you know what I mean? But you know how that happens. Well, we got room for one more, we got room for one more. Okay, yeah, but yeah, we're at a max right now. Once I get in a better position and I got more land, literally I'd have 50 cats on my land, man, because you know what, man? I just got a soft spot for things that can't take care of themselves, man. Little kids, old people, pathetic little animals that need a home. I'm a cool motherfucker, right? But I'm always in an outlaw state of mind, man. No matter where I'm living, what I'm doing, anybody could get caught slipping, but it ain't gonna be easy, all right? Because I got my socks on right now. Yeah, I'm at home. I can put my boots on in 2 minutes and get on the bike and ride, homie, all right? But at this stage in the game, man, I find that it's just more conducive, man, just to get 2 or 3 dudes that you vibe with. Everybody's on the same page. And just ride together, man. Enjoy each other's company. Enjoy the motorcycle, man. I don't want to be in a situation where I got to constantly politic and debate on some guy or some, whatever, man. It's just not my thing, man. I'm not really down with the whole politicking thing. You know what I mean? In federal prison, right? That's a whole nother level of politicking. Unless you ever been there, you won't understand what I'm talking about, again, because you're not from that world. How are you going to be a multi-millionaire businessman and then call yourself an outlaw biker, homie? You never did a fucking day in jail. You don't know what it's like to be in that jail cell alone, okay? And now everything that you've did is coming back on your shoulders. That's how people fold like cheap suits. Now, I understand how that happens because when you got big clubhouses and big cities, you need to finance it. And when you have all kind of scrutiny from the feds and shit looking to send everybody to jail for 20 or 30 or 50 years, you only got so many ways to earn money, okay? Let's be real. And so one of the ways is you could turn to people who have a lot of money, who's willing to dedicate some of it to the club, and you can let them be a member of your club. And I understand why that happens when you're sitting there around a table and you're thinking about expanding and protecting territory and so on and so forth like that. And people get locked up. They need bond and bail and stuff. So, it's good to have members in the club. If push comes to shove, they have the means to facilitate that kind of stuff. So it's not about being 100% wrong. It's just that sometimes certain things and certain people are going in one direction, and even though that's not, that direction will get you to a destination that you want to go to, you're going to pick up a whole lot of extra baggage on the way, and a lot of bad things and or good things could happen. But at this stage in the game, man, after living in New York City all those years, man, and being on Rikers Island, if you're from New York City, you're going to know what I'm talking about. You had the bars. I was in the South Bronx, Hunts Point. Hunts Point is a big neighborhood. It's not many blocks of neighborhoods. So I still got one of my dearest friends in the whole world that lives in the South Bronx, about 5 blocks away from Hunts Point. I got a son that lives in Connecticut, stepkids that live in Connecticut, all kind of like stone cold homies, man, in New York City, man. It's like they're my family, and we came up together in the streets, But I can see why it's tempting to want to belong to something that's bigger than you, in a sense of brotherhood. We've all fell victim to that, especially if you walk on the wild side, because everybody needs a family, man. And some people are in a position where they weren't blessed with a good family. And it does make a difference, man, in the way you turn out in life. Of course, you can get people who's born in the worst type of situation imaginable, and because of a couple of lucky breaks, they end up and they take advantage of those lucky breaks, so good for them, and they end up in a really good position. So they went from really bad to really good. And it also happens in reverse. Sometimes someone's from a really good situation or good family, and they decide to walk on the wild side. And those two things can definitely happen. But if you're born in a bad situation, the chances of you going off the tracks, I would say, is probably greatly increased. And it just is what it is, man. And another cool story, right? Yeah, I got lost in a thought there for a minute, man, but daydreaming about New York City, man. This New York City of the day, and I was just there a couple of months ago, and it's still New York City. It's still cool. It's still a big, bad, beautiful city. What you doing, Whitey Whiskers? Come here. Oh, I wanted to get him in a shot. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh. I tell you what, if this guy was a little, I went off track again, but if this guy was a little human boy, oh man, I would take him everywhere with me, man. I love him, man. He's my best little buddy. Coolest little guy in the world, man. His name is Felony, and we got him and his sister at the same time. They're about 4.5 months old now. He just came back from the doctor. He had his little... He got fixed. My wife insisted on it. I frown on taking a weapons or a man's weapons or balls, but you know, sometimes you get outvoted on things, right? But he is the coolest little guy, man. Like I said, if he was a little human boy, I'd take him everywhere with me, man. So, you know, back to topic, right? The Chingalings, in my opinion, had one of the coolest cuts of all time, man. You know, when I got to the city, you know, and I started like really being in a New York state of mind, going all over, you know, and this is in the, you know, I'm speaking on a time that's associated with like the early 90s. You know, I used to see them dudes riding around, man, because the Chingalings are from the South Bronx, also referred to as the South Boogie Down. And I'm pretty familiar with the Bronx. I'm a Manhattanite, Lower East Side of Manhattan. But if I hadn't have been able to live in Manhattan for some reason at that time, I would have probably been in the Bronx. Because like I would describe the Bronx, and I don't want to offend anyone, but I would describe the Bronx as a mix between Manhattan and Brooklyn. Because you got really nice areas of the Bronx. You know, when you say the Bronx, people think of South Bronx and war zones and burnout buildings. But you've always had really nice areas of the Bronx, like Pelham Park Bay, over there in the West Bronx with 5 trains. So you've always had nice areas of the Bronx. Don't knock my camera over, homie. You've always had nice areas. And so... But you have like the South Bronx, and I used to see them dudes, the Chingalings, man, riding around on their choppers, man. And I ended up meeting a lot of them dudes later on when I was in Sing Sing, right? Not a lot, 2 or 3, you know. And but I used to see them riding on the like the FDR or the Bruckner Expressway or LIE or West Side Highway, and they'd be riding down the road, right, the street, right, and they'd be like greasy, man, and they'd have that badass cut with the Iron Cross with the SWAT sticker in the middle of it, with the 2 swords coming through it, and it said FTW. Now, and so obviously in civilian lingo, that means F the world. But for bikers, it also stands for ever 2 wheels. Okay, so I think it was more to it than just F the world. But it was one of the coolest cuts that I've ever seen. It was Chingaling, and then it said Nomads, right? So I just want to give you guys a shout out, man, because I know some of your bros, and this is from years and years ago. I don't even know if they're around anymore, but they were cool ass dudes when we were bidding together in Sing Sing. I did about 1.5 years there, and Sing Sing is one of the most iconic prisons in probably the country, for a number of reasons, but for one of the reasons, the Metro North from Grand Central Station runs right through it, and it stops at Ossining, New York. That's like the little town around Sing Sing, Ossining. So your family can come right from New York City, right from Grand Central Station. They could take a subway to Grand Central Station, catch the Metro North, the Harlem Hudson line. It comes right up along the Hudson River, and it stops in Ossining, New York, and you can take a little car service right down to see your family. And in Max Joints in New York City, you get visits 7 days a week. Your family can come to see you any time of the day or night. They don't have to be on a list for the first visit. After that, you had to put them on a list, but anybody can show up and visit you one time. The feds is all fucked up. They ship you thousands of miles away. You got to get everything approved ahead of time. They're straight up dicks, all right? Everything about the federal system is this fucked up from the authority. It's just a bad system, man. You know, when everybody thinks all club fed is sweet. Nah, that shit is fucked up, homie. And they got sweet spots. They got camps and lows, and some of the FCIs are wild. It's about half and half on them. But they got somewhere for your ass. It's called the United States Penitentiary, homie. And you better believe they ain't a motherfucking thing sweet about it. The shit's serious, hardcore, and it's a bad scene, man. I wouldn't really recommend anybody go there if it ain't absolutely necessary. But yeah, that's my experience. New York State is a different type of vibe. I've been in Attica, Sing Sing. I've been all over Rikers Island. I've been in C-74, C-73, C-95, C-76, OBCC, the Beacon. HDM's been closed for decades. I never was in there, but I know where it's at. It's right there on Hazen Street. That's the main street that runs down Rikers Island, right? And the bridge connects. There's another funny point about Rikers Island. The bridge connects to Queens, okay? But actually, Rikers Island is a part of the Bronx County. So if you get in trouble over there, they'll take you to Bronx County Supreme Court. And for you guys who don't know, New York City is made up of 5 counties. So it's the city of New York, not New York City. It's referred to officially as the city of New York. And it's made up of 5 counties. The Bronx, Queens County, Kings County, which is Brooklyn, Richmond County, which is Staten Island, and New York County, which is Manhattan. And those 5 counties together make up the city of New York. So like the city of New York is all 5 counties put together. It's probably about half the size of the county of Los Angeles, but with twice the amount of population. So it's an extremely hardcore urban environment. And it's a much safer city, I'd say, probably than it's been in the last 30 years. I was just there, and I was kind of amazed at how safe it, not want to say safe, but compared to back in the day, it's a lot safer, man. You know, and I'll get into that on another video. I know I'm kind of rambling today, but I just feel like shooting the shit with you and sharing some ride time, you know, and I hope you enjoy it also. And, you know, so it was probably one of the most influential periods of my life. Living in New York City all those years and just being exposed to new ideas. Not that I bought all the ideas that I was exposed to, but at least have the opportunity to be exposed to new ways of thinking and new ideas. And it's definitely helped me become a much more powerful artist. I'm a painter, a tattoo artist, amongst other things. And I'm pretty much on the straight and narrow now. I don't fuck around no more. I did my time. I did it like a G. That's why I can make these type of videos. I live in the Daytona Beach general area, not Daytona Beach proper, but in the general area. And it's real cool down here, man. I mean, I've been pulled over by the cops 2 times down here. One time I didn't even get a ticket. And the other time I did get a ticket because I was speeding. I got a Chevy Trailblazer, and I don't have the new one. I got the one that was still kind of big, and it don't have a cruise control. So I was riding down the freeway. I was doing about 15 miles over the speed limit, smoking cigarettes and jamming on rock and roll. And he got me, man. But I mean, I was speeding. I paid the ticket, and you know that was the end of it. In fact, he was a nice guy. He adjusted it because if he'd have wrote me up for how bad I was actually speeding, I mean, I wasn't going 25 miles over the limit, but I was going probably about 12 or 15 miles over the limit. If he'd have wrote me, because it one of them spots, it goes from like 60 miles an hour to like 45, and I wasn't really paying attention, and everybody else was speeding, so it wasn't like every brake lights was on. It was no dangerous situation. But if he'd have wrote me up for what he actually had me for on the radar, I probably would have lost a couple of points on my license. And it wasn't because I was being reckless. I just didn't have a cruise control, and you know, shit happens, man. But I guess so. That's my 2 experiences in Florida. I got nothing but good things to say about the place. The only thing I don't like about Florida is the state government in Tallahassee. A lot of them are dicks, you know what I mean? Try to pass all kind of fucked up laws. I don't support no law that fucking criminalizes being poor. Just because a guy's down on his luck and he's in a tent somewhere, if he's not committing no other crimes, I think it's real fucked up to pass a law that guy's now a criminal, man, just because he's outside. And instead of fucking trying to grind him into the sidewalk, why don't you fucking be a good leader, a good sheriff, or a good governor, and try to say, hey, man, what can we do to try to help our fellow man, and instead of just grind them into the fucking concrete, man. So, yeah, I ain't cool with that. But as a state, as just a free state, man, Florida, man, is a really, really good place. If it wasn't cool, I wouldn't be down here. Now, it's definitely different from New York City in a lot of ways, but maybe not as different as you think, because you have a lot of northern people who find themselves coming to Florida and living, man. Living in Florida is different than vacationing in Florida. When you vacation in Florida, you come to spend money and have a good time. But when you're living in Florida, it's like living anywhere else. You still got bills to pay, stock maintenance, do all kind of shit like that. So it's like, yeah, you're living in paradise, but you're not vacationing in paradise. You're living in paradise. So it's a little different dynamic, But I can achieve what I want to achieve. Just riding my motorcycle, finding 2 or 3 cool people that I click with, to hang out with in the garage, drink a few brews, smoke a doobie, watch the football game, or jam on some music, or just go riding, man. That's why I have a motorcycle, to ride it, man. And I respect the legacy of Harley Davidson. I respect the fact that there was a time in America where Harley Davidsons were made in Milwaukee. All the parts were made there. It was assembled there, and it was sold to the average American working guy who just wanted to be free and ride motorcycles, and it was affordable and attainable. Harley Davidson is the one that abandoned me. I didn't abandon Harley Davidson. Okay, Harley Davidson decided to market their product to rich folk, all right, not to me. So, you know what? I'll go and ride rice burners or get me a Japanese cruiser, because it's not about supporting the Japanese and all this other stuff. It's about being able to afford a good, reliable bike that's badass that I can ride, man. Okay, that's what it's about to me. When I think of biker and what does that mean, it doesn't mean anything other than a guy or a gal who just enjoys riding motorcycles and being free, man. Because once you're on that bike, man, and you're going down the highway and you're like 55, 60, 65, depending on what highway you're on, 70, it's the ultimate freedom, man. You got your Bluetooth speaker blasting with fucking some old school punk rock and shit, man, and you're just riding with a big old dip in, man. And for when you're on that bike, there's a good chance you're not worried about no political shit. You're not worried about a lot of things that are relatively petty that we have a way of making a big deal out of. It's just you and the highway, man, the punk rock, and you're just chilling, man. And that's what I love about Florida. It's the right state for me. It may not be the right state for everyone, and I understand that also. So it ain't all about me, but that's the reason why I'm down here, man. And it's cool. And New York City, man, really the whole Northeast, man, it's just hard living, man. And not only is it expensive, it's just hard living, man. And if you're from there, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Shit's cold as hell. Everything's expensive. It's just hard living. And I say that from someone who loves New York City. And like I say, man, I got people all up there now, and after spending 30-something years up there, But, before I would ever think about prospecting for any club, I would just find 2 or 3 dudes to hang around with, man, and see if that gives you what you're looking for. Because there's a good chance if you find 2 or 3 cool-ass people, man, just to shoot the shit with and ride with, there's a real good chance, man, that'll scratch your itch, man. Why dedicate yourself to something, to a world that you're not from, man? And you end up getting caught up in some shit that you ain't built to handle, man. And shit goes real bad for you, man. It's like me trying to walk in the world of a CEO wearing 3-piece suits and tailored wingtip shoes. Hey, good for you, man. I like making money just like you do, but let's be real. That's not the world I'm from. I didn't go to Harvard or Yale. I didn't go to Penn State. I went to State Penn and Club Fed, which ain't really Club Fed. They got something for your ass in the feds. If they want to fuck with you, they got something called the last stop for the worst bunch, and it's called United States Penitentiary. And like I said, it's the last place you'd ever want to be. Another cool story, I'm going to wrap it up, right? When I got out of federal prison, right, they sent me to the Eastern District of New York. New York City has 2 different districts. It has the Southern District, which is Manhattan, the Bronx, and then you got Orange County, Putnam County, Sullivan County, obviously Westchester County. That's like the Southern District of New York for the feds. And then the Eastern District is Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island, which is Nassau and Suffolk County, and then Staten Island, which is Richland County. That's the Eastern District. So when I got out of federal prison after the 10 years, right, I did pretty close to, I'll say about 9 years, 3 or 4 months. Of course, I got a good time. That goes without saying. But when I finally got out, they sent me to the Eastern District because they didn't have room in the halfway house in the Bronx. So I got over there, man, and that was a fucking shit show. Anyway, there's a lot of reasons for it, but anyway, I left. They ended up catching me later on, right, in Florida because I wasn't really running that hard, you know what I mean? But I did leave. It happened, you know. So while I'm on the run, I shit you not, I'm in a high-rise building, surrounded by other high-rise buildings, somewhere in New York City. It doesn't matter exactly where, but that's where I was at. So you could even if they could get a bead on it, I mean, there's 1,000 other people right around me in the same block. Good luck with that. You know what I mean? So anyway, one day my phone rings. It's during football season. I'm hanging out. I got my feet up. I'm watching football, drinking beer. The phone rings. And it's a United States Marshal, right? And, you know, I've been on the run now I didn't commit any crimes. I wasn't up to nothing, man. I just fucking needed some love in my life after being in a fucking horrible-ass fucking prison for all them years, man. And I would have did right. I would have stayed if they'd fucking gave me a little something to work with, but they were trying to grind me into the concrete. So fuck off, catch me when you can. You're trying to send me back to prison anyway. So what I'm going to do is just get the hell away from you and go over and live my life. And when you catch me, I do my time like a man again. But in the meantime, I'm going to go live my fucking life. And that's exactly what I did, man. And so the fucking phone rings. I pick the phone up, because it come up one of them unknown numbers, so it could be a homie calling from another phone or something. So I'm going to answer the phone, you know. So I answer the phone, and it's a United States Marshal, right? He said, yo, is so-and-so here? I said, yeah, who's calling? He said, my name is U.S. Marshal so-and-so. He was like, hey, man, you better turn yourself in, man, because if the U.S. attorney told me in the Eastern District, my case was out of the Southern District, Manhattan. But now I'm in the Eastern District because they sent me to the halfway house in the Eastern District. The feds is a fucking shit show. All right? They said, hey, man, the U.S. attorney told me to tell you, if I get in touch with you, you got 24 hours to turn yourself in. And if you don't, we're going to indict your ass for escape. All right? And you're going to have a whole nother charge in the feds for escape. They give your ass up to 5 years for that, but they usually won't unless you committed other crimes while you was on the run. Now, if you committed other crimes while you was on the run, you're going to get the full fucking match for that, and they're going to give you the whole 5 years for leaving the halfway house. I did not do that. In fact, I became a family man, and I had so much love and support around me of people who understood my situation, really because I wanted to go to Connecticut, man. This is what happened. I was in the halfway house. I reconnected. I was with another lady when I got her busted. She was a Brooklyn girl. All right? Hardcore chick, man. Still got super huge love for her, man. She's one of my good friends, man. I still talk to her occasionally. But when I was in prison, things kind of disintegrated. And 10 years is a long time, man. It's just a decade. Let's not sneeze on that, right? So shit disintegrated. And when I came out of prison, now I started talking to my son's mother. My son is grown, but I started dealing with her again. And she lived at that time in Connecticut, in the Connecticut area, you know. So I put the paperwork in to go to Connecticut, and the feds was like, man, you're all fucked up. Your case is out of Manhattan, which is the southern district. You here in Brooklyn, which is the eastern district, now you want to go to the district of Connecticut. You only got 90 days left because while you're in the halfway house, you're still a prisoner, but they're letting you reassimilate yourself to society, which I think is a good thing. But the thing is, they let you reassimilate, then they try to treat a motherfucker like, you know, so they wasn't doing nothing to help me, okay? I was trying my best, right? So I just said, okay, whatever, man. And one day I went out on a pass and I just didn't come the fuck back. They called me up. I said, yeah, man, I'm gone. I was trying to do the right thing. You people ain't trying to help me. I know I owe you 90 more days. I'm not up to nothing. I'm not committing no crimes. I'm out here living my life. Whenever you catch me, catch me. Now, that's the halfway house calls me up, right? So months go by, all right? I'm just out there doing me. Obviously, I can't drive. I can't do nothing. I know I got to... And they didn't even put a warrant out on me right away, man. They were going to give me time to turn myself in. So it was kind of an asshole move. I should have turned myself in, man, but I was living so good, man. I mean, like, not as far as money is concerned, but just love and support. And I was feeling that shit, and I said, fuck it, man. Just catch me when you can, man. I mean, that's just the real story, man. And I was probably doing better at that up to that point, probably better than any time I had ever did with just the kind of people I had around me. And so the phone rings, and he tells me that. I said, look, man. Well, he gets a little heated, but then it calms down. He wasn't trying to be a dick, you know what I mean? He was doing what his job was, you know. You can't, it is what it is. I don't mean we're fucking friends. It just means if you're on an opposing team, you're on the opposing team. It's your job to win the game. It's my job to stop you from winning the game, you know, or for me to win the game, you know. But it is what it is, man. And we went back and forth. This is a damn true story. I said, hey, man. I said, you got a job to do and I got a job to do. He said, oh, yeah, what's that? I said, your job is to catch me, homie, and my job is to not get caught. Okay? I fucking ended up, man. I got married, and then I moved to fucking Florida because I knew if I got married and I moved to Florida, when they did catch up to me and sent me back to prison, which I knew that was coming, okay? But I said, fuck it, man. Catch me when I ain't even going to run that hard from you no more. I'm not committing no crimes. But I know when you catch me, you know, I know I'm going to have to go back to prison. I mean, that's just going to suck. But you know what? I got so much love and support around me right now. I'll take my fucking chances, man. So that's what I told him. I said, hey, man, you know, he said, oh, yeah, well, yeah, your job is to catch me. My job is to not get caught. And I did get caught later on. On a humbug. I wasn't committing no crimes. I was in a car with somebody. They got pulled over, you know. And then I'm like this, you know, and I ain't got no fucking ID. I could get into the cop violating my rights and all that shit. But it is what it is. I got fucking knocked. And they fucking damn sure did, bro. They expedited my ass from Florida back up to New York City. Because when I went through in 2012, you had MCC Manhattan. That's where Epstein met his end. Who knows how that happened? I made a prior video on that. I'm not going to get into it now, but they have since closed that. So now all they got, and they also had something which was much, much bigger called MDC over in Brooklyn. So they sent my ass over to Brooklyn. They indicted me for escape. I maxed out the first one. I maxed because I only owed 90 days. So they didn't give me a shot and take no good time. So I only owed 90 more days on the sentence when I got locked up. But by the time they held me in county jail down here, expedited me to Oklahoma City, got me back to New York City, MDC, I only had like 2 weeks left to max out. So right before I got ready to max out, a couple of days before I got ready to max out, I had already knew they were going to indict me by that point. I already knew I was indicted. They called my ass to court and sent me over and arraigned my ass over in the Eastern District of New York, right? So I stayed in jail for about 5 or 6 months on that one. And because I didn't commit any crimes when I was on the run, and because I did get married and I had a family and all kind of support around me, all right? The judge gave me time served, and He gave me a year probation running concurrent with the 3 years that I already owed. They ended up violating my probation later on. But hey, don't knock my camera over, dog. You know your hood when you call little cats dogs. Anyways, yeah, that's a whole nother story. Maybe I'll get into that later on. But anyway, man, I've been through that and I did that, and I'm real hesitant to hang out with people. And I didn't say hang out occasionally. I'll have dinner or a business meeting with anybody, all right? Because business is business. But my little circle, man, if you don't meet my standards, if you don't know what it's like to sit in a prison cell, cold, hungry, and alone, I don't want to be around you too much, man, because there's a good chance you're going to do some reckless shit without really thinking about what the consequences are. And you're going to get caught up in some shit. And when they put your ass in that cell, and the reality of what you're caught up in hits you, most people are going to fold like a cheap suit, homie. And that's why you have all these indictments and shit coming down. I understand why a lot of people do the things they do. But they're thinking about right now. They're not thinking about a year from now or 5 or 10 years from now. I would rather have a small group of individuals around me that are from the streets, who have fought their way out of the streets, who have obtained more in life now, who have something to lose. And it doesn't mean that we won't take care of our business. What it means is we're very cool, calm, and collected and calculated in the way we go about doing things. Okay? And I just gotta sum it up at that, man. I love riding, and it's one of my passions, really. Painting, art, tattooing, riding motorcycles, hanging out with a few cool people. And I just feel that's a better life for me, and I think it's probably a much better life for a lot of you guys too, even though you don't realize it, because it's easy to get caught up in that whole brotherhood thing. And of course, man, you're going to have some people in any organization that you're closer to, some people you may not like, but they're still a bro. I mean, I get all that. And but I don't know. I think you're probably just better off finding 2 or 3 guys you're cool with, man, and keep it at that, man. So I hope you gave you some entertainment and a little food for thought. Hope you enjoyed the ride with me and my lovely and beautiful wife, man. And until next time, stay up. And hey, Whitey Whiskers, that's his AKA. Oh, say goodbye. Like I said, he just came back from the vet for having a dirty deed done. My wife put me up to it. I didn't want to do it to you, boy. If this guy was a little human boy with this mentality and being this cool, man, I would take him fucking everywhere with me, man. Oh, I love you. You're the coolest little buddy. Peace out. Stay up, man. No more talk.